Hello viewers, I'm Jen Narunga. I'm the Executive Director of Siatini, Uganda. I would like to take you through the Siatini journey. First of all, Siatini is an acronym. Siatini stands for Southern and Eastern African Trade, Information and Negotiations Institute. Siatini has offices in Harare, Zimbabwe, in Kenya, Nairobi, then also this office in Uganda, which I'm heading. Siatini started way back in 1996. In 1996, when Siatini started, that was the year before the World Trade Organization was put in place. And a number of policy analysts realized that African countries were not aware of the importance of the World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is the global regulator of trade. Whatever we do here, we need to follow the rules which are made in the World Trade Organization, which is based in Geneva. So, people like Professor Yash Tandon, most of you Ugandans know him as a member of the Gang of Four, are the people who started Siatini. And I want also to tell you the vision of Siatini. Siatini's vision is to strengthen Africa in world trade. We want to see a strong and confident Africa in world trade. Why are we talking about a strong and confident Africa? Because today we are not strong as Africa in world trade because we export raw commodities like coffee, like cotton, tea, cocoa, Yet we should be exporting industrialized goods. And as you know, our president usually talks about it, that we're exporting jobs all that time. So the more we export raw commodities like coffee, we're exporting jobs. But we're also weakening our economies because today we are importing value-added products like cars, electronics, and we are running a trade deficit. A trade deficit is when you are exporting low-value products, importing higher value products. So that was one of the reasons why Siatini was put in place, to make sure that we have a strong and confident Africa in world trade. Our mission is therefore to strengthen key stakeholders. The key stakeholders include civil society organizations, private sector, civil society organizations, to be able to engage and influence trade, investment, fiscal policies to ensure that we improve our livelihoods and we promote sustainable development. Our mission and vision is rooted in our ideological belief of social justice, that everybody, every individual should have equal opportunities, that all of us should access opportunities equally, that we should live a life of dignity. And in order to live a life of dignity, you need to have an income. An income as an individual, but an income as a country. So when we are doing our activities, we look at how to strengthen our economy so that individual people, the farmers, the traders have a fair income, and also the country, our country as Uganda, is also benefiting. So our objective is to ensure that our economy is strong, we industrialize, people who are producing their coffee have a decent income, and that as a country we are exporting value-added products. How do we do this? What are our activities? Of course, we do a lot of activities. First of all, we do training, because economic issues, economic policies are they seem to be complicated, because they are negotiated, they are agreements. The moment you start trading with a different country, Uganda is trading with Kenya, you negotiate. Nothing is free. You get what you negotiate. So we build capacity of our negotiators to be able to ensure that our interests as Uganda is defended in the East African community. In, for example, the Continental Free Trade Area, today we have an agreement where Uganda can be able to sell products throughout Africa, but that one also you have to negotiate it. We build capacity of policymakers to make sure they put policies in place that benefit the people.
If we don't comply, our coffee and cocoa cannot enter the European Union, effective 1st January 2025.
There is a budget for the traceability, which is 35.6 billion, but the allocation is 13.9 billion, which is lower than what they wanted, they put on table. So from what Dr. Gerald Chalo shared with us, is that other private players and relevant stakeholders are coming in to support. But also that doesn't take away the role of government to fully finance this mandated institution, which is Uganda Coffee Development Authority. UCDA can be able to undertake consultations, stakeholder consultations, and also comply. We need the EU market and other markets.
So what we need to be thinking about is how can we develop traceability systems that are sufficiently rigorous to meet the continuing, expanding requirements.
Investment is very critical, because we need to invest to have industries, to increase our production and productivity, to get technology, to create jobs. But the way you design your investment policy will determine whether our people will get jobs or not. Today, we are looking at our investment policy called the Investment Code. It has a number of gaps. For example, there are no human rights impact assessments. And what we are saying, that if an investor comes in and you want to invest, first do an assessment. How is that investment going to affect the people in that community? How is that investment going to affect the environment, the rivers, the wells? So we are asking government, let us review our investment policy to make sure that each investment which comes into our country protects the rights of the people, provides jobs for our people. We need to ask the investor, what jobs are you going to create? Not just these jobs of cleaning, but decent jobs. We want to ask our investor, what technology are you going to bring for us? So those are the issues we work on. We engage government, we engage policymakers to put such policies in place. We work on tax. Way back in 2002, when we started working on tax as civil society, everybody was asking, Jane, are you a tax collector? What are you talking about? You are going to work on tax. Tax, either you pay or you pay. No alternative. On tax, we look at tax justice. Who is paying? Who is not paying? What kind of taxes is government putting on the table? They are what we call regressive taxes, taxes which hurt the poor Regressive taxes are taxes, for example, which are put on sugar, on salt. When government puts taxes on sugar and salt, it means my grandmother in the village pays the same tax as the president, as the member of parliament. And we have been telling government, no, let us put a direct taxes. Government should concentrate on putting direct taxes, pay as you earn. What you earn is what you pay. Everybody is paying a fair share of taxes. We look at issues of agriculture, to make sure that our agriculture, the farmers, get a fair income for their produce. In fact, we have been asking government to put a minimum price for products, for example, like maize. People produce their maize, but sometimes it's like they are punished for bumper harvests. The price of maize goes down. So we have been also asking government to ensure that there are backward and forward linkages between what we produce and what we add value on. And that's why when it comes to industry, we are asking government to rethink the industrialization model. Because the model we have today, the industrial parks, they go to Guru, put an industrial park. There is one in Mbale, but there are very minimal linkage between those industrial parks and what people are producing. Take an example in Mbale. People produce cassava. That whole region, Mbale, Teso, they produce cassava, but cassava has no market, because people sell raw cassava, and maybe they make flour in markets. But we're asking government that industry in Mbale should be producing starch, ethanol from cassava, and other products. So we ask government to promote those interlinkages. That means that you are going to promote more cassava growing. The price of cassava will go up, the jobs will be there, and will be exporting, but also linking those industries. For example, from cassava, you make flour, you do pharmaceuticals, you do tablets, and the economy grows. So those are some of the issues we work on. Another important issue we work on, and what makes Siatini different from other organizations, is we link issues: agriculture, trade, industry, taxes. For example, we believe tax is a tool to promote industry. There are products which you can be able to say, we are going to tax that product. Let me give you an example. Today, we are in the East African community, and Siatini, we engage the government. Policy work, you contribute. You can't be able to say, that one I did, but you bring the idea on table, you advocate, you meet members of parliament, you meet technocrats, and they can be able eventually to put that issue on paper. We requested government, the East African community, to increase the tax on some products which come in here, like second-hand clothes. Because today, we can't build our textile industry when second-hand clothes are coming in and they are cheap. Yet you want to build an entire value chain from cotton product growing to making yarn to making clothes, that entire value chain. So you use tax. Don't say don't bring second-hand clothes, but tax them, so that you can have the policy space to grow that value chain. So those are the issues we have been working on, those interlinkages among taxes. Work on issues of debt. We are indebted, You know, we also look at how do we manage our debt, how do we acquire debt, where does it go? Because sometimes getting a loan is not a problem, because all countries live on loans, even individuals, you know. But how do you acquire it? What are the conditionalities around it? How do you utilize it? Are we utilizing it to grow our real economy, putting it in agriculture, linking it to industry, linking it to trade? So Siatini work across sectors. We put feminism there, gender there. How do you make sure that everybody, the young, the women, the people with disability, all of them are benefiting? Another area where we are unique from other organizations is that we work across levels. We work from the local level. We work with farmers in Mubende, work with farmers in Mitiana, in Imbale, you know. Then we work at national level, we work at ESC level, we work with the East African community. We work at continental level, we work on the Continental Free Trade Area, we work with the CFTA Secretariat in Ghana, with the Africa Union in Ethiopia. We also work at the global level, at the WTO in Geneva. We go there to be able to protect our rights here. We work with the World Bank and IMF in Washington, because when we talk about globalization, you know, the interlinkages among countries, there is also the issue of globalization of policy making. We sit here, but there are policies which are made by IMF and World Bank in Washington, and they affect us here. There are policies which are made in Geneva by the World Trade Organization, they affect us here. There are policies which are made in Arusha, at the East African community, and they affect us here. The other time our traders were talking about textiles, the tax. It was discussed in Arusha. As Siatini, we work across all those areas. For me, I think our major achievement for the last so many years, more than 20 years we have been working, is the recognition by government that civil society can contribute to policy making. And Siatini, we have been recognized by government. You know, we sit on a number of bodies. You know, we work with the Ministry of Finance. We sit on a number of bodies in the Ministry of Finance. We work closely with the Ministry of Trade. We on a number of committees. We on the Continental Free Trade Area Implementation Committee. We work with local government, with the local government. We sit on the local government finance committee. We are on the Domestic Resource Mobilization Committee by the Ministry of Finance. We are on the Strategic Implementation Group in the Ministry of Finance. All this is a recognition by government that Siatini and civil society, that we matter, that we put viable proposals on the table. And we really thank government, you know, that they take some of these proposals on table, and some proposals which they don't take on table, they give us reasons, and we agree, because government has to balance. It doesn't mean that when Siatini you say that has to be taken on board, it's taken on board, no. And sometimes we appreciate the reasons. We have had challenges. Many challenges, because number of challenges. You know, policy work is not like service delivery, where you take a borehole, 1 week the borehole is there and you can be able to tick that box. Policy work is protracted, you know, and I think that's a big challenge. There also the issue of changes among policymakers, changes among technocrats. You go there, you have convinced a technocrat that this is our position. And says, yes, yes, yes. Next day you find somebody else and says, what do you mean? You start afresh. Another challenge is that our work, like I have explained, they are at all those levels, you know. So sometimes the resources in terms of human resources and finance are difficult. And maybe how we have navigated that is the fact that we work in networks. As Siatini, we have created, we ourselves, networks. We have also joined other networks and alliances. At national level, for example, we have the Tax Justice, the Uganda Tax Justice Alliance. We bring together a number of organizations, women organizations, you know, and we work on tax issues as civil society. At regional level, we have the Africa Trade Network. We have the Tax Justice Network Africa. At global level, we have the Global Alliance for Tax Justice. So we work in alliances and networks. So when Siatini, you can't be able to go, you send your position is there. So we have been able to do that. And of course, the challenge of resources. Civil society will depend on sometimes donors and all that, you know, so there are challenges there. I want to talk about our future plans. Our future plans is to strengthen what we are doing, because when you see the global economy is becoming really tough for Africa, for Uganda, there are so many challenges. You look at COVID battered our economy so badly. You look at challenges of debt, we are indebted up to. You look at challenges of climate change, you know, it's also a problem. So we want to engage on those issues to make sure that as Uganda, as Africa, we can be able to navigate through. And navigating those challenges will take a lot, you know, it will be a lot of fighting, because we, as a country, there are policies which we also need to fight against. I'll give you an example. Today, the European Union is telling us that we have to show them that we are not hurting the environment by our coffee growing, you know. So now we are working with government to tell them, please give money to use CDA, to the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, for them to be able to show EU that we are not hurting the environment. But we are also telling the European Union that what you are doing to us is not fair. We didn't pollute, you know. The climate crisis is not our doing. But by telling us, don't bring your coffee because you have to show evidence that you are not hurting the economy, you are hurting the small-scale producers. So those are the challenges we are looking at, you know. So we are looking at how we can grow our economy, how we can be able to industrialize, how we can be able to export value-added products. But that means we need to negotiate at the international level in the WTO. We need to be able to negotiate with the World Bank, IMF, to make sure that the global financial architecture is working for us, you know. So those are our future plans. My appeal to government is to put resources in the economy, in the real economy, because that's when we can be able to generate, you know, to generate resources so that we don't even depend on loans. Because every time you get a loan, there are conditionalities. So let us, my appeal to government, let us put resources in the economy, and let us make sure that the economy is working for the people. So if we say investors are coming, let us make sure that it's working, that investment is working for the people. My appeal also goes to the policy makers, our policy makers. Sometimes you look at what goes on in Parliament. They don't discuss the real challenges facing the people. Let Parliament devote time to growing our economy. You know, for me, I believe that if we put resources and we put policies and we negotiate out there, we can be able to grow this economy, we can be able to get out of poverty. My appeal also is to our partners, our global partners, to provide us with more resources, to be able to have resources, human, financial resources, to be able to grow our economy. To our partners, civil society, again, let us work together to make sure there are policies in place that are working for the people. Because at the end of that day, it's about you and me. You know, it's about our rights, economic, social, cultural rights, but it's also about the environment. So whatever we do, if we say an investment is coming, let us make sure that our environment is protected. Lake Victoria, you see what's going on. That's also another long story. But let us make sure that what God has given us, our lakes, our rivers, our forests, are protected. Maybe lastly, I would like to thank government. Government, especially the ministries we work with, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Local Government, the local governments where we go in Zombo, the East African Community, the Continental Free Trade Area, the Africa Union, the WTO, World Bank, IMF. They give us space for us to be able to put our issues on table. I would like to thank the media, UBC. You do great work, because you are the people who put these issues in the public domain. You link us to the policy makers, to the technocrats. I want to thank you so much. Our partners, our donors. I would like to thank the president. The president, his ideology, the issues around regional integration. He's really, really passionate about regional integration, And what I believe, and it's proven, when we are together, we can do wonders, As a country, as Uganda, we are weak, but when we are together. So I thank the president. That regional perspective is very critical. I thank the president for the ideology of value addition, because he's the one, and everywhere you guys talk about what he has said, we export jobs when we are exporting raw materials. When he talks about value addition, when he talks about investors. However, my appeal to him, one, to walk that talk. For example, he says we want value addition, import substitution, local content. All those are his words. Let us put money to that. When he talks about boo-boo, let us walk that talk. Let us put resources there. Let us make sure that the policies around that really promote what he's saying. As my last remarks, I would like to thank sincerely all our partners throughout the country, in the region, in the East African region, on the continent, and globally. We do amazing work, and we need to continue. We are located in Bukoto, on Bukoto Chisas Road. You can check out our website, and we continue to serve, to ensure that our country, our continent grows, our economy grows, we create jobs, and we live a happy and dignified life. I say all this for God and my country.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, together with